Hey, y'all, what's going on? It's that time again where we're getting back into going through the DC animated universe, and we're in the second half of our prequels. If you've never joined us before, go back and watch the first video if you don't mind, where we talked about Batman Mask of the Phantasm. We're calling these prequels because the project itself is going to start with the next episode, because this is kind of when I went to the Wikipedia, it gave me a starting point. And I realized I had two other films that were part of the Batman box set, which I should probably get a picture of that up at some point. There's a Batman box set, there's a Superman box set, but I didn't get the Superman box set because there's some overlap there. So I just figured I'll just get the Batman box set and be done with it because, Batman. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. My name is Rob. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I am the executive producer of two great shows that are coming back into one show starting Thursday night this week, January 11th. Make sure you're following the Clubhouse Podcast and the Cheap Popcast on all your social media. Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, we will be back after a hiatus. We're going to give you our best and worst films of 2023 and so much more. I've got Alex Barnhill and Don Ford that join me each and every episode, and we have a lot of fun. So make sure you join us and follow and do all the things. All right, so hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Had some great participation from some people that were in the chat room. Remember, the chat room is live. You can put it up there, and I can see it no matter whether you're on stream, whether you're streaming on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. I can see all three, so comment away. Very happy to have you with me tonight. As soon as this is over, I'm going over there to watch the national championship. So let's get into it. As we get into part two of our two-part prequel before we get into the actual order of things. As we talk about, where is the one I'm looking for? That's the one I'm looking for. We talk about Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. Now, this was released in 2003, almost a decade after the end of Batman the Animated Series. So to answer the first question, let's get to the voice cast first, because I didn't actually do that in the right order. In this one, Kevin Conroy, of course, plays Batman again. This is where he deals with a female vigilante that actually uses the bat symbol to represent her, but she's got a bit of a larger mean streak to her. Now, what I will tell you is this is going to be kind of a minefield a little bit, and I'll tell you why here in just a minute. But I will say also, this Blu-ray, much better transfer than Mask of the Phantasm. I think that they really hadn't really dug into the restoration of Mask of the Phantasm as well. This, I believe, was a straight-to-video release, or at that point, it's 2003, straight to DVD, so you at least had a digital copy that they cleaned up for the Blu-ray. We have Kevin Conroy, of course, because, he's our Batman. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. plays Alfred yet again. In this one, we have Eli Marienthal playing the Tim Drake version of Robin. This is the only time he would play him. Hey, I see you, Russ. Welcome. So we don't have Lauren Lester, who I have actually had the joy of speaking with on a panel. If it's not up on the channel, I'll make sure that it is. I had a great time interviewing him and Diane Pershing a little ways back at Dallas Comic Show. I don't know if we even recorded that, but I'll have to take a look. We also have Bob Hastings playing Commissioner Gordon for the last time. This is the last recording of him playing the role. But we also have Tara Strong playing Barbara Gordon. And I don't exactly know why. She's in it for like 30 seconds, I guess, to just establish that we're not talking about Batgirl, we're talking about Batwoman, I guess. I don't know. It was a very strange, I love Tara Strong. I'm a big fan. Using that character in this particular movie, it was just one of those, hey, we want you to know it's not her, and they just move on. It's very strange. We also have a very big other voice cast going on in this film. We have Kimberly Brooks, who you may not know the name. She is a very, very prolific voice actor. Look her up on IMDb. She plays Kathy Duquesne. She is the daughter of a a gangster in Gotham who's just, she's in that rebellious phase. They couldn't call her Kathy Kane because Kathy Kane later in continuity would be Batwoman, and since she's got a little bit of a dark side to her, they didn't want to portray her that way. So she's Kathy Duquesne in this. We also have Kelly Ripa playing Rocky. Rocky is an employee of Wayne Enterprises. Russ, I agree with you about Red from Zimmerlist. She's kind of a bumbling person, but she's a great scientist, works for Wayne Enterprises. We also have Kira Sedgwick, who is the voice of Batwoman. So when you see Batwoman on the screen, it is Kira Sedgwick. The Penguin shows up in this. Replacing Paul Williams is the great David Ogden Stiers, who you might remember as Major Winchester from MASH. He was also one of the voice actors in Beauty and the Beast. I believe he was Cogsworth or he was Lumiere. He was one of the two. But he was in that. So also another voice acting legend playing Kathy's father, Carlton Duquesne, is Kevin Michael Richardson. If you don't know who Kevin Michael Richardson is, not now, wait till after the video, go to his IMDb page. You're going to go, oh, that dude, he did that. He is a voice acting legend. And he's one of those that I would love to sit down with sometime and interview. And then we also have Bane, who originally was voiced by the great Henry Silva. But at this point, because remember, this is 2003, Henry Silva retired. So replacing him to voice Bane in Mystery of the Batwoman is the great Hector Elizondo. I'm good either way. I love both of these guys. I don't know, when I was watching this, Bane was on my screen and I could hear Hector Elizondo. So he didn't have to, but he's still Hector Elizondo. I like it when I can lose the voice into the character. Now, somebody like Kevin Conroy, it's Kevin Conroy. I mean, it's just like that. But this was a case where I was like, oh, there's Bane, and it sounds just like Hector Elizondo. So there's that. So the question is, as we get to this point of our video time together, we talked last week about how Mask of the Phantasm had a little bit of Batman Year 1, a little bit of Batman Year 2. So the question becomes, where does Mystery of the Batwoman? Is it based on anything? Is there any source material involved here? And that answer is simply no. There's nothing. Even the suit reflects, as you can see in the picture, if you can look up there, it reflects more Batman Beyond than Batwoman, because you've seen Batwoman, she has the flowing hair. In this case, it's more of a bodysuit. It's the silver and red, whereas Batwoman does use the red bat, but it's more of a darker costumed motif. The Batmobile, even in this, looks a lot different. It's more of a mashup of the 90s versions of it and the old school, even before Batman 66, when it had it was very wide and it had kind of a gangsta look to it. The Batmobile looks different. Even the opening credits, whereas with Mask of the Phantasm, it kind of reflected Batman the Animated Series a little bit. This one does not in any way, shape, or form. Has very, if nothing. It almost acts like it's like, yes, we know that we're using that style, but animated what? It's a very strange animal, this film. And again, this is the first time I'd watched it. So, and then you're going to hear me say that a lot as we go through the year and go through almost 60 of these films. I don't know why I've just had them sitting on my shelf, and that's why we're doing this. But it is not based on anything previous. Like I said, Barbara having the scene doesn't make any sense. There's a very strange musical performance in the middle of this in a club. The song by Cherie, if you remember her from the early 2000s, and that the song comes up again at the end when they're having the curtain calls, is the only way I can say it. I was like, oh, here's Batman, and he is voiced by Kevin Conroy. That whole they do that bit, and it was very confusing for me, especially for a movie that's clocks in at 115. It really clocks in at about 105. So this could have been meant to be a broadcast thing that with commercials could go an hour and a half, maybe an hour 45. But it's like I said, this whole thing's a very strange animal. So nothing, as we look through things going forward, continuity, no. There's no continuity here. Bad Blood, as we're going to get to that, is going to be closer to the comic books. And again, this is almost a decade after Batman the Animated Series was no longer a thing at Fox/Fox Kids or whatever they called it for a month and a half. Russ says David Ogden Sears was in, oh God, that's right, boy, but going back to the old school John Denver and George Burns in that one as well. So no continuity here. From a special feature standpoint, like we said with the last video, the only thing that you could do with Mask of the Phantasm was pick the aspect ratio you watched it in or watch the trailer. This has a lot of stuff on it. Nothing that really wowed me. What I will tell you, and I will tell you up front, if you watch this thing and you've never seen it before, do not, and I cannot say this enough, do not go to the special features first, because the first special feature in there that doesn't really affect anything. It's a short film called Chase Me. No dialogue at all. It's a short film that has Bruce at a party and he tries to get away from it all, runs into Catwoman who's robbing the building, and they run all over Gotham City going after each other. They wind up in a zoo at one point. It's kind of a cool little thing, but it's just a short on there. After that, you have a thing called Behind the Mystery. This point going forward, every special feature I talk about when it comes to Mystery of the Batwoman, spoilers right up front. Like, they don't even bury the lead. And I'm not a big person on spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for you. But, like, they just tell you the ending right off. I was going to say right off the bat, but, yeah, no pun intended. But they tell you the ending right up front. Now, if you're into those things, then you've been warned. And if you are not into those things, you've been warned. Watch the movie first and then watch the special features. We start with Behind the Mystery. Oh, wrong one. I've got two computers going at one time here. It talks about the film itself. It starts out with, again, with the ending. And there's pieces of this that really don't make any sense when they're putting it all together. We have Batman POV, which is a making of dealing with the scripting and storyboarding process, the character design, the music development, and coordinating all the voice actors. That part of it's kind of interesting because they talk about how they're having problems getting everybody scheduled. Then there's the making of a scene where they take a scene where Batman and Robin meet Batwoman for the first time, and they break it down element by element to show you how they did it. And I thought that was really cool. That's just over there. There's the Batcave profiles and then the Bat gadgets. These are kind of, I don't want to call them interactive, but there's a Batcave profiles has 9 characters from the film that you can look at. And it tells you about them with this real early 2000s techno beat for about 30 seconds at a time. It's supposed to be like from the Gotham Police Department. If that's the case, they talk about who Batman is, and that's a little weird for me because they're not supposed to know that, but whatever. So you have Bat profiles, and Bat gadgets has 5 of the things from, good Lord, I've got to take it. Lord, don't know what I'm doing. All of it has spoilers. There are trailers, but none of them are for the movie. Just there. There's one for the DCU app when you could get those digital comics back in the day. To give you a time capsule, they list it for the iPod Touch and the PSP. So know what you're dealing with there. There's a reboot DVD collection for Thundercats Season 1, Book 1, if you remember that. Apparently, Mad TV had an animated series that they advertised Part 1 for, which is kind of weird. I don't remember this. I may be blocking it. And Green Lantern, if you remember that CGI animated series that was on Cartoon Network, there's a teaser for that as well. So, again, we're not going to rank this one because it's outside of the purveyance. It's not, I'm going to be honest, it's not great. I spent a lot of time going, okay, this is weird. Okay, that's a thing. Oh, that's a thing. I feel like this is kind of rushed. It's a little hasty. I'm not saying it's terrible because I've seen much worse. But Mystery of the Batwoman, I will say, did not live up to my personal expectations. But it's going to be what it's going to be. All right, so this is wrapping up the prequels. Our next video, which I'm hoping to do later this week, so we can, because I'm now technically I should be on the one after this because last week was the first week of the year, but it's okay. We're going to do this at our leisure. I'm going to do my best to give you about 24 hours notice before I do a video. So that way, if you can, schedule some time to be with me live. If not, it'll be there for you on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch. Now, if you go to my YouTube channel, you have to click on live. It doesn't have all the videos together. I don't know why. I'm trying to figure out a way to get them all together so you can see them. But just click on live if you miss one, and then you'll see Mask of the Phantasm, and you'll see this one. Next week, we get into the list proper. So the very first one listed on the Wikipedia page for these films is Superman Doomsday. Now, you see the cover there. That is actually not what I have. What I have, and I'm going to stop sharing so you can see what I'm doing here. I have this, Death and Return of Superman. But you'll see here in the corner that it does have Superman Doomsday. I used to have Superman Doomsday on its own, but when I got this, I gave that one away. So I don't know if it's got all the same special features or whatnot. We're going to find out together on the next one. This is based on the Death of Superman a little bit. It's been a while since I've seen this one. I remember a couple of things. Like I remember a couple of the shots being like, oh, I remember. Okay, that's right out of the comic. Looks great. And there's a cameo in there that if you know the story behind it, it makes me giggle a little bit. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So Superman Doomsday, if you're going to follow along and play the home game, when we do this live, just like Russ has been doing, you can put your comments in there. I'll answer questions as best I can, but we've also got the questions on Facebook. You can put comments on. You can also do it on the YouTube channel as well. If you're watching at the same time as somebody else, you can interact. Great way to meet people that, maybe you didn't know otherwise. So that's going to be, next one's going to be Superman Doomsday coming up very, very soon. Don't forget Thursday night, January 11th, the return of the Clubhouse podcast at 8 o'clock Eastern. Make sure you're following us on all your social medias for that. Also, if you're a fan of professional wrestling or you just like hanging out with cool people, January 27th, 2 weeks from Saturday. I can't believe we're like 19 days away from WWE Royal Rumble. Starts at 6 o'clock Central. We will be on the air an hour before that at 5 o'clock Central, getting you ready for the first pay-per-view or plea, I guess, and first major of the year. But we'll be live from X Golf in Frisco, Texas. Come join us. Come hang out right up there, right up the street from the mall at Preston. It's a great facility. We showed you some video footage. We're probably going to get out there again and show you some more stuff before we're out there for the show. Going to be all kinds of cool stuff going on. You'll be able to play golf if you want to. Watch this show with us. We're going to walk you all the way through it. Not on air because people want to hear the audio, and that's great. We're going to have we're going to have this up on the wall for you so you can watch it and do whatever you want. Get you some food, get you some drinks. That's on you. We're not paying for your food. But come hang out with us because we got a lot of good stuff coming up in 2024, plus this project that I'm going to be doing. My goal is to have all of these watched by the end of the year because there's like 4 or 5 that are on the slate for this year. So next video will be Superman Doomsday. I will dissect it. We'll go through it all. I'm hoping to do it maybe later this week, maybe next week, but I got that one and then the next one. And, we're going back to Batman because that's the order. If you want to know what the order is, you can go to the Wikipedia page of the DC animated universe, and it gives you the entire order of the way we do things. But I've got a couple more that I've added in there that they didn't have in there that are in my box set. So that's how we're going to do it. All right. So that was Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. So until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, be the light, fight the darkness. Good night, everybody.